Hello, and welcome back to my latest podcast from Thomas Martellone Genealogy Research. I'm your host, Tom Martellone, and today I'm going to be talking about the one thing that can either be a genealogist's greatest superpower or their biggest nightmare, and that's record keeping. We've all been there. You find a death certificate for a great-great-uncle, and you're thrilled, and you set it down somewhere. Fast forward 3 months. And you're staring at a pile of unsorted papers, or you're looking at a downloads folder and it's named document parentheses 12.pdf, and you're wondering where it went. Today, I'm going to be talking about building a system that actually works for you, whether you're a diehard paper fan or you are a digital native. I started my personal genealogy journey over 40 years ago. At that time, digital records and resources were really not a thing to speak of. My aunt had got me started with researching, and paper was my best friend along with binders. I had family group sheets, individual group sheets. I had tons of paper. Over time, I developed binders and storage materials, and as time progressed, I started using digital tools such as Personal Ancestral File, which is no longer available. It was a software, and then Ancestry.com. And now I use both digital and some paper tools. Today, I'm going to share some information with you that may help you if you've been struggling with what resources to use as you manage your family history, or if you are new to family history, it may help set the course for how you manage your resources and information moving forward. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about the paper trail, which I'll call tactile and timeless. So let's start with the traditionalists. There is something undeniably powerful about holding a physical copy of a 1920 census or a handwritten letter from an ancestor. The pros are that the paper doesn't require a password, it won't be deleted by a server error, and it's incredibly easy for the next generation to inherit simply by opening a box or a container or a binder. The cons of having that are that it can be bulky, it's vulnerable to fire and water, and then let's be honest, misplacement. Updating a paper tree also means a lot of whiteout or redrawing entire branches and other types of technical things that you need to do to maintain that. If you love paper, the key is having a binder system. You use archival safe, acid-free protectors, and you organize by surname or locality. It's not just a file, it would be considered a curated library of your family's life. If you take the digital leap, you've got power at your fingertips. Now, if you're looking to break through brick walls in 2026, digital is where the magic happens. We're in an era where AI, and I don't think it's perfect, but it can index some handwritten records in seconds. So the pros of that are that searchability is king. You can find a specific name across 5,000 documents in a heartbeat. Plus, cloud storage like Google Drive or OneDrive means your research is backed up and accessible from your phone while you're standing in a cemetery 3 states away. The cons are what might be called digital obsolescence, and that's real. Remember floppy disks? If you don't actively manage your digital files, they can become unreadable within a generation. Okay, it's time to talk about the transition, and that's moving from folders to files. And when I say files, I'm referring to digital files. For those of you who might be sitting on a mountain of paper files and feeling overwhelmed by the digital age, here's an easy 3-step, no panic transition plan. Number 1 is triage first. You don't need to scan everything right off, or at all. Start with the unique items, original photos, birth certificates, letters. You can always find a 1940s census record online again, but you can't replace your grandmother's diary. Second, establish a naming convention. This is a secret sauce, and I will talk about this a little bit further in the podcast. But for right now, don't name a file Grandpa. You would name it 1892 underscore birth cert underscore Miller underscore John dot PDF or a similar structure to that. This makes your files self-organizing. Third, the one home rule. Pick one master tree, like Roots Magic, Ancestry, or Family Search, to be your primary database. For example, I use Ancestry.com, and I also use Family Tree Maker. I do have other information on other sites, but I use those as my primary one home rule because I can sync my tree from Ancestry into Family Tree Maker. For everything else, your papers and your random digital folders should point back to the one mastered record. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about naming conventions and then places to save your files. So a couple of minutes ago, I said that establishing a naming convention is really the secret sauce. And I'll talk a little bit about this again. So really, the secret to a stress-free digital archive, it's not a fancy app. It's consistent naming conventions. Most people make the mistake, as I noted before, by naming files based on how they feel at the moment. Grandpa at the farm. But a year later, that file is impossible to find among hundreds of others. Instead, use a date, subject, event structure, or one that you think works well, but it should really include the date in the subject or the event. By starting your file names with a year or a full date in year, month, and day format, and when you put the year, you need to put 1942, not 42. So you would make a format like 1942-06-12 underscore Martellone underscore Thomas underscore birthcert.pdf. Your computer will automatically sort through your records chronologically, creating a natural timeline of your family's history without you needing to lift a finger. It also makes searching quite a bit easier. Beyond dates, clarity is also your best friend for long-term preservation. Use underscores or hyphens instead of spaces to ensure your files remain readable across different operating systems and cloud backups. Always include the primary surname and the document type in the name so that a simple search for census or marriage instantly pulls up every relevant record in your folder. Remember, you aren't just naming these for yourself. You're naming them so that a family member 50 years from now can look at a file and know exactly who and what it represents before they even click to open it. Several years ago, I began using Google Drive to manage files that I got, which were digital, whether I received them from somebody else or whether I created them myself. I created a system of folders that I put inside one master genealogy folder, and the subfolders were named things like birth records or marriage records or death records, immigration records, land records, etc. You get the point. After that, I would specifically name files with a certain naming convention, including dates if I had them, and then I would make sure that the appropriate files got into the appropriate folders within Google Drive. I also did this with photographs. This really has been greatly beneficial because sometimes I've been traveling and I needed to access my files, and as long as I have an internet connection, I can do a quick search and I can pull up a number of files based on what I requested. I can easily get to everything I've saved. Most people in this day and age have a Gmail account, and with that Gmail account comes Google Drive. It really is an indispensable tool and one that I highly recommend based on the fact that, one, you can collaborate with other people and you can easily share files with them. Also, two, you can really get to it pretty much from any place on the planet. Well, let's talk about finding what I might call your hybrid sweet spot. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that most of us end up in the middle, and that is totally okay. I keep my really important or precious originals in archival boxes or other storage containers, but I probably do about 90% of my daily work in a digital database and digital spaces. The very best system, it is not, and I'll repeat, it is not the most high-tech one. It's the one that you'll actually use and feel like it helps you organize all of your records and files. If a complex software system makes you want to quit, you need to go back to a binder. If the paper mess is stressing you out, start scanning. Your research is a gift to the future. You just need to make sure that people in the future can find it, and then you can put your hands on the files now. I really appreciate you listening to this podcast called Relative Records. Believe it or not, I'm actually off to go through some binders and to look at a few digital records and see how I can update my files right now. Until next time, keep digging and best of luck with your organization.